All right, welcome back to Flat Track Fever 2019, a WFTDA recognized tournament. We're so glad you're joining us for the final game. Oh, that's just of day one. That's right, game 6, day 1. It's been a blast here at Acadia Rec Complex in beautiful Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm Deathnella.
And I am Sonia Blade, and let's take a look at our team rosters.
While we get ready on screen, how about we mention who's playing? I haven't even had a chance to do that yet.
We've got the Living Dead team from Eville and nfrd, that's Nuclear Free. They've sent Boom for Flat Track Fever.
All right, and go ahead, Sonia Blade, and read out that team roster.
Your Living Dead, number 09, Roxy Balboa, 1208, Fire Vixen, 180, Rip Curl, 23, Smacks, 31, Lurch, 53, Logan, number 64, Attica Flinch, number 107, Smoke Show, 13, Killer Koala, 21, Harley Sin, 30, Push Push Pass, 41, Magic Wanda, 61, Spidany, and number 89, M-Ski.
And for your NFRD Boom, and we'll try and get through this before the action starts, but we'll see what we can do. We have Smack Mouth, number 10, Repeat, Dank the Tank, Troublegum, Schmidt Disturber, Argentina, Monstrosity, Dame Tamer, Joe Means Joe, Jazz or Not, Cakes, Fish, Marauder, Rude Barbie, Malady, Ramala Anderson, and Be Ruthless. And just in time because that jam whistle's about to go. And on the line for Living Dead is Harley Sin, who we have seen skate today. That's right, a number of the Living Dead skaters are also skating in the mixed gender bracket for OCRD.
That's right, and we've got Dame Tamer with a star for Nuclear Free. She got knocked to the outside and bridged all the way back behind the jammer line, but she is back into the fray, hoping to get that lead status, which she does.
Yeah, she manages to push pass to get through between Lurch. That is quite a feat. Dame Tamer coming up with a lot of experience to Flat Track Fever. She's one of those skaters, she gets picked up by a lot of different teams because of where her location is, kind of near Red Deer. And it works out well for them because you can just see the power Dame Tamer has.
Absolutely. She's quick and she likes those lines. They work in her advantage, and it got her through, got her those 2 points.
And on the line for Living Dead is Spitney.
And we've got Gypsy Joe for Nuclear Free.
And the name she is skating by is Joe Means Joe. Either way, we know her as Joe. We love her as Joe. Skaters possibly dislike her as Joe. She is a powerhouse out there, too.
It's always something to do with Joe. And there goes Joe on that inside. She's going left to beat. She picks up lead status.
I mean, I don't feel like any derby is really disliked, but sometimes when you're on the track with someone who is just so fierce and really kind of a pro at getting lead, well, things can happen. Although it is so early on in this game, Boom with the momentum right now.
Just a powerhouse. Joe blowing through those arm lengths, getting through, getting 4 points.
And was that a star pass or just a star stash? That was just a star stash by Spitney there.
Joe challenging number 89, M-Ski, and calling it off. She puts up another 3 points. She put up a 7-point jam.
So Sonia, you skated today. How are you feeling? It's been a pretty busy first day for you.
I can't lie, I'm a hurting unit. We had scrimmage on Wednesday, which was Deers versus everyone in the league. Then I had a workout session last night, and then a game today, game tomorrow, game Sunday, so there's no rest.
And you're sitting down as the announcer, so thank you so much for lending your voice. It's so great to have that insight with you out there on the track. And as I say that, Marauder picks up lead, making it the 3rd straight for the Boom.
Jammer for Evil not far behind, hoping to put on some pressure. And Marauder getting knocked to that outside and calling it off before Evil can do any damage, putting up 2 points.
So a very good start for NFRD Boom. And what's interesting is NFRD Nuclear Free, that is all based on where they're from. Nuclear Free is from, why is it blanking here? Oh, Red Deer. So the name comes as a nod to Red Deer's local history as a, quote, nuclear-free zone, and as well reflects their dedication to providing a welcoming and supportive community for their athletes. I also know Red Deer, as even in the last 2 years, had difficulty putting together a team, so to see the Boom out here playing is phenomenal. But as I say that, the Living Dead gets their first lead jam of the game.
Dame Tamer getting knocked to that outside, but the blocker did go down, so she picks up a no pass, no point. That's her initial.
But Roxy Balboa able to get by. No problem. Love the fierce bout makeup she's sporting today. Roxy as well has also skated already today. It can be advantageous when you've already had some practice on the floor, but can you describe the floor for me? Because I have seen some struggle, some not so much.
It is very slippery. I can't describe it any better than that. You think you've got a grip on it, and then it catches you, and you lost it.
And we've also seen that just throughout a bout where the first half might be okay, second half already starts to feel a little bit different.
Well, and that's what these jammers have been using to get through. They get that push, they get that momentum, pushing those blockers out of play, getting them spread apart because they're not sticking together on this floor, and that gets them through for their lead jams.
Yeah, Spitney there, a little bit more than a half lap now behind Joe Means Joe. Calls off the jam. And the Boom also have a very eclectic benching staff too. Just want to call attention to Bellicose Blonde, who came all the way from Swift Current, Saskatchewan to be here and support her husband, Dean Vic Vega. He's actually here as a skating official, and their daughter is helping NSO. So talk about a family effort to help make this tournament possible. We want to thank all of the volunteers, and we'll get to your officials' crews in just a moment.
We've got number 28 Marauder donning the star for NFRD.
And we've got a good crowd here. The beer garden's nice and full on a Friday night. Like to see that. But it doesn't seem like Marauder, or rather Harley Sin, is not going to have much time to score these points.
No, Marauder was coming in hot, and neither team will have points in this jam.
Actually,
we've got 1 point going to Boom.
Yeah, looks like Marauder was able to steal those.
Sneaky Marauder.
I know, that always stings when you're like, I think I got this, but that's where the importance of where you line up as blockers really comes into play.
Absolutely, that's why they tell you to get ahead, don't be a point. So we've got Dame Tamer donning the star for Nuclear Free and Spitany for Evil.
And a multiplayer penalty called on Living Dead number 6-4. That's Attica Flinch.
Dame Tamer hopping past that last blocker, picking up lead status.
And it's Lurch, a star pass to Lurch on Living Dead, who's also skated today. I'm going to keep mentioning that. Oh, and a forearm call on Living Dead push pass. So that's going to be quite a disadvantage for the Living Dead going into this next jam.
Yeah, this is not what Living Dead want right now, not with the momentum that the Nuclear Free Boom have right now.
And this is where both of these teams can get a good handle on this game, but definitely the Boom's game right now.
With that, Joe Means Joe with the star, giving her blockers a bit of help before she challenges that tripod, gets through, gets that lead.
And we are now down to one blocker. Interesting. So the pivot has now taken the star. There's only one blocker out there for the Living Dead. As I say that, Attica Flinch gets out of the box and onto the track because there was a multiplayer penalty called on another blocker earlier. So Living Dead need to get out of that box ASAP.
Absolutely. Just Joe doesn't need very much to get through, and having only two blockers is only working in Boom's favor right now.
Meanwhile, Emsky picks up 3 points for her efforts there.
Just Joe coming into play, getting knocked to that outside, and she'll call it off. Puts up 2 more points for Boom. That's a 10-point jam, putting them at 30 against Living Dead 7.
Now, the Boom have played recently together as a team. They played April 27th in Saskatoon against the Killabees. They won that bout by a decent margin as well. So they are feeling strong coming into this, very confident.
Absolutely. The Jane Deers have played against Boom in November or December, I believe, and it was a very tight game.
We have Roxy Balboa with the star for Living Dead, but Marauder is out in front and fast too. And this time it is a Boom skater out on a forearm call.
Marauder at the top of the pack, getting through that inside, calling it off before Roxy Balboa can score any points.
All right, let's give a quick shout out to our skating officials for this one. It is the Flatbread crew, and Flatbread is Landon Flats, Bay, Squid, Judge, Busty, Carmen, and Intervener. And hey, look at that, Sonia Blade. We have
what
a
good
very
timing.
effective team time out for you to talk about the non-skating officials, which I believe is this crew. Yes, it is.
Our non-skating officials, your co-crew head, Phil Hollywood, Jam Timer, Red Baron. Penalty tracker line trackers are Phil Hollywood and Party Crasher. Penalty box manager, Molly Golightly. Timers are Attitude and Amy. And we've had Nerd Herder, Just Paula, and Miss Koozie rounding out the NSOs.
Remember when I mentioned Bellicose Blonde, the bench staff member, one of the bench staff members for Boom? Well, Miss Koozie is her daughter. So really is a family effort. I am really enjoying, Sonia, seeing the full beer garden here. And what a great, this is the first time I've actually seen this at a roller derby tournament. I mean, there's always drinks here and there, but to have a nice setup, beer gardens, keeps it family friendly for everyone else, keeps it engaging over there. It's really great.
Absolutely. And a lot of the patrons in the beer garden are participants of this flat track tournament. They put in a lot of work getting things ready for today, and they deserve to relax for a bit and have a beer.
And also in the beer gardens is the scaffolding for the camera operators putting on the stream. A big shout out to them all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This would not be possible otherwise.
So we've got Dame Tamer donning the star for Nuclear Free at the back of the pack, stuck behind that Evil tripod.
Oh, but Dame Tamer getting a back block penalty? Assessed, yeah, back block penalty assessed. Right off the hop, which gives Living Dead the lead, Harley Sin, and also a power jam.
And that could be exactly what they need right now to bridge that gap and close in those points.
But the NFRD blocking line is now at full strength. Number 2-2 there, dragging them back. And that's Schmidt Disturber with that drag back.
Yeah, excellent bridge work on behalf of Nuclear Free, but Harley Sin getting through, picking up 4 points.
An important time to score some points too. They're not too far behind to start chipping away, and doing so in the first half is where you want to start doing that. You don't want to leave all the chipping to the second.
That's right, and with that, that's Dame Tamer fresh off her penalty, through for her initial pass, and Harley Sin is going to call it after scoring 2 extra points, putting them up to 13.
Really great jam for Living Dead. Their highest scoring so far at 6, bringing their total to 11. NFRD Boom at 34. Just under 20 minutes of derby left. We want to thank the co-hosts of Flat Track Fever 2019, Calgary Roller Derby, and Chinook City Roller Derby for a fantastic day 1.
Back in the action, that's Joe Means Joe with the star at the back of the pack, finding up that inside line, but running right into the back of Lurch.
I feel like that's happened a lot with Lurch today, is getting run right into the back of.
Absolutely. That is not somebody you want to come up against in your path.
But Joe Means Joe catches up to Spitney there. Spitney having a little bit of trouble on turn 3. I just want to know, I'm curious, Sonia, is turn 3 kind of a sticky turn or not so sticky turn? I don't know. It seems like that one is causing a lot of trouble for skaters.
I think it might depend on where the most gameplay is. During that last game, there was a lot going on in turn number 3 and 4, so that could be affecting the track right now. Because it does get progressively stickier as the weekend goes, or slipperier as the weekend goes on.
Oh, that was quite the hit by Rude Barbie there on Emsky, who has the star for Living Dead. But it is Marauder who is out in front. Coming up now on a scoring opportunity.
Marauder getting some offense from Rude Barbie. Deking her hips around, calling it off, picking up 2 points.
And it has just been little by little, but what an incredible time so far in this bout. We're seeing a lot more fast-paced jams throughout this entire tournament, I found anyway.
Absolutely. These are some fast-moving packs, and these jammers are even faster. So we've got Dame Tamer on the jam line, squaring off against Spittany. Dame Tamer pushing her way up that middle, trying to push that tripod out to the out-of-play position, but getting knocked to the infield and bridged back by Roxy Balboa.
Yeah, Dame Tamer almost had that one, Sonia, but not quite. Meanwhile, Spittany now coming up for a scoring pass. Oh, but gets knocked back, dragged back by Schmidt-Disturber again. I think we've found the blocker that likes to cause the trouble in the back there.
Absolutely. Schmidt-Disturber definitely lives up to her name. She will bridge you back and not make life easy for you.
So this is quite an interesting look at your competition, Sonia, because you mentioned your team, Jane Deere, is actually playing the Boom tomorrow.
Yep, first thing tomorrow, 9 a.m., Jane Deere's versus Nuclear Free Boom. I think we beat them by like not even 10 points last time, and it was very close the whole time. They were winning most of it.
Wow, so I'm really looking forward to getting to watch that. Meanwhile, we do have a spill on the jammer line there. That's Harley Sin getting caught up with number 3-3. That's Argentina.
And Just Joe, fresh off her initial pass, challenging right up the middle of that tripod. Evil quick to reform in front. And she's going to call off that jam. She puts up 4 points for Nuclear Free.
You know, we have some incredible photographers here, including David, who came all the way from the east coast of the U.S. in New York to be here. Very exciting. But we also want to look at just everybody's photos from this tournament, and they are all hashtagging it with the hashtag FTF 2019, so you can follow along, take in all the moments from this weekend, especially if you're not here and you want to live vicariously through photos on the internet. That's the way to do it.
Absolutely. Photographers capture the game in a way that we just can't. Like, you see some of these stellar moments that are a split second, and we've got a bit of an injury on the infield. That's number 4321, Milady, for Nuclear Free. Just awaiting the medics.
Yeah, Malady is sitting. Lurch also got a piece of that action too. But Lurch able to get up on her own power and go to the Living Dead bench. We have said it already today that St. John Ambulance has been fantastic. Medic staff has been incredible. And Sonia, I realized there's like a bizarre little buzz in the venue, and I noticed, of course, that the ramp is being used. Flat Track Fever has a ramp in the corner, so you probably can't hear it on the stream. But
Flat Track Fever is going the rollercon route and incorporating a tiny skate park, but enough of one for this year.
Yeah, and right after this, there is going to be a roller skate party. While we have this break, of course, the skater on the track is speaking with medics now, is sitting on the floor. We do want to mention Girls on Track. Did you know by age 14, girls are dropping out of sports at twice the rate of boys? Girls on Track wants to change that. Learn more about expanding access to roller derby for girls in their teens at girlsontrackfoundation.org.
We'd also like to thank Rydell Skates. You play derby, outdoor skate as much as you can, and dabble in some jam skating. And each activity needs its own special gear and accessories. Rydell Skates has everything you need for all your passions. Rydell Skates, you'll love how your Rydells feel. That's rydellskates.com.
And with that, our skater is up on her own power, making sure everything's good. And that was Malady. It's not great sometimes when your skater name, you sort of live up to it. She had a bit of a malady there, but she seems okay. So what's going to happen now if you're new to derby, new to watching? Anytime you have called off a jam for an injury, the injured skater will have to sit out for at least the next 3 jams.
So that'll definitely affect the blocker rotation on Nuclear Freeze line, so we'll see how that affects their gameplay.
We have Roxy Balboa for Living Dead, Dame Tamer for the Boom.
And Roxy Balboa is just a powerhouse jammer. It'll be interesting to see if Nuclear Free can hold her back.
She's also known to announce as well, so power to all skaters who announce. Big thanks, Sonia, for doing it too.
Roxy Balboa finds room on the inside, gets that lead. But Dame Tamer not far behind, about a half track. She's hoping to put on some pressure.
And now in the straightaway, and that'll be it. A shutout for both. Neither team picks up points on that go-around. I guess Roxy got the knockout there on the straightaway.
And somebody in the crowd was excited about that one.
Somebody out there.
Somebody out there is amped up for the last game of Flat Track on Friday night. Hey, it is Friday night after all.
I know. I find derby time and dates get all skewed, but it is a Friday night, and what better way to spend it than here at Flat Track Fever, Acadia Rec Complex in Calgary.
Absolutely. Why not watch Joe Means Joe take on this Evil tripod at the front of the pack, juking from side to side, but they're quick to meet her in front, and Evil going with that lead jammer status.
This is when Evil is good in terms of getting their jammer out with lead. Joe Means Joe only about a half lap behind, though. Is she able to call it in time?
Yeah, both these teams have been good at getting their jammers out.
Joe Means Joe not quite happy with that, but does manage to squeak out 1 point on that. The Boom, or rather Living Dead with 4. So now only a 20-point difference in the score. And as we know, 20 points can easily be picked up in 1 jam.
Absolutely. 1 power gem either way could change the whole momentum of this game.
Except now it's just dawned on us, I didn't notice before, but the Living Dead jammer is in the penalty box. So that's actually going to give Boom the advantage now going into this.
The Boom with 1 blocker in the box. That'll give the pack advantage to Evil. Boom opting for some passive offense.
And it paid off there. Only took about 11 seconds rather, to get through that. But sometimes if you're going to chew up half of your power jam doing that, not always beneficial.
And this is exactly what I mean with the track being slippery. Those jammers have momentum, they're coming in hot, and it's hard to hunker down and slow them down. They're pushing you, they're spreading you out, and they're getting through.
Just observing games today, Sonia, I did notice that. And oh my goodness, Spittany sent back to the penalty box. Was that a cut track?
It could either be a cut track or an illegal re-entry because she was off for penalty.
Wow, that gives another power jam. That's right. Marauder saying again, but now we're going to see some active offense by the Boom.
Yeah, Boom seeing Marauder needs a little bit more help coming against these Evil blockers.
Still, Boom don't seem to be totally sure on what to do in that situation, so it was actually a pretty effective penalty kill in the end because only able to get 1 scoring pass on that power jam.
Absolutely. Some last-minute offense from Rude Barbie got Marauder through, and she is back into action.
Does send a boom blocker to the penalty box. That's number 1 for Cakes. And it looks like Boom's just going to run this jam to completion. I mean, why not?
Absolutely. There's only 13 seconds left.
And of course, they have Roxy Balboa, their pivot, in the penalty box as well. So to be able to alleviate that, Roxy Balboa is on Living Dead. I meant Cakes is in the penalty box,
But Dank the Tank will be joining Cakes in the box, so this will be a small pack for the next start of the jam.
That is a very big jam for the Boom. I can hear our in-house announcer, Fat Boy, loud over the speaker. He's alongside Swiss Army Roy. Big shout out to all the announcers here at Flat Track. But yeah, 20 points when we had just said that was the difference made. Oh,
that
that's
was
hard.
exactly what Boom needed, and they're going to take this lead and run with it if I know them. But that's Evil getting lead jam, so they're not going to make it easy for Boom.
Dame Tamer is having a lot of difficulty with lead, but look at that beautiful star pass. Really effective, super fast, in the right position. That's number 1129 there.
That's repeat for NFRD, your new jammer. Harley Sin taking advantage of the conglomeration of jammers or blockers and getting through, getting 4 points.
That was a beautiful star pass. Repeat was perfectly positioned at the front of the pack, so it was just a simple changeover, legal, effective. And we've been seeing a lot of star passes this tournament already, which is not surprising. Really, with the death of the jammer lap point, you're seeing that strategy come back. But what's been even better is we're seeing really effective, well-executed star passes.
Well, you have to do a smart star pass. You can't do a star pass when your pivot is behind you because they're just going to have to fight through everybody. You have to be patient and wait for them to get in a smart position so that they're not fighting those blockers and defeating the entire purpose.
But I just remember those early days with the star pass when it was such a great thing to do. That is what was happening. So it's great to see that evolution, and it's expected here at Flat Track. You've got phenomenal skaters out there.
Absolutely. Some excellent strategies being displayed here. Joe means Joe getting tapped to the inside. She's going to call it off. And how many points did she pick up? That looks like 2.
Great effort there by Rip Curl. We have just over 8 minutes left in this first half. Things are flying by, and it's still a very close game. Boom at 63, Living Dead at 25. And a really smart timeout called by the Boom. One thing, and you could argue all day about clock management, Sonia, but there were a few times in some of the other matchups during the day where I think a timeout was needed to regroup, and it didn't come.
Absolutely. Some of these teams forget that they have timeouts and that you have however many per half that you can use, and you're encouraged to use them, so why not?
Because it's not necessarily just about catching your breath or regaining that. It's about making sure you're mentally together, because the Boom know right now, they were the ones who called this timeout, that, yeah, they have a lead now, but Living Dead has been actually on their case getting lead quite consistently in the last several jams. And you want to get the control back in the game.
Absolutely. It's good to take that break and have that talk and change the momentum of the game. It's like a mini halftime, and some of these teams are second half teams and they need that conversation, so why not have it in the middle of a half?
And now we're all back into the action. We have number 28 for Nuclear Free. That is Marauder. I should know that by now. It's just hard sometimes with the way that the jerseys ride up a little bit.
They ride up, and then the font for their numbers is odd too. It's kind of scratchy.
Yeah, it's got that little effect to it. And meanwhile, we can clearly see it's Harley Sin on the line for Living Dead.
Marauder trying that outside, but she is met up at the front, but picks up that lead status.
And that's what we were just saying, Boom wanting to take control again of this game.
Marauder coming back into play. She's trying up that inside. There's a getting knocked to the outside by Evil, and she's going to call it off. And she puts up 3 points to Evil's 2.
A big dramatic call off as well.
Dramatic fall to the knees.
Yes. We also want to call attention to the bench staff of the Living Dead. Someone our listeners, our viewers rather, may recognize. Clumsy Lover was just on the broadcast call. She's on the bench as well for Living Dead. She's just all over the place today, much like you, Sonia.
Absolutely. Some of us are doing all the jobs, wearing all the hats this weekend. And with that, Dame Tamer getting through, picking up lead for Nuclear Free. Rip Girl still with 2 to beat at the top of the pack, getting knocked to the inside. She's going to get bridged all the way back by Schmidt Disturber. Oh, no. She's not going to go in. She's not going to fall for that trick. She's going to get through, get her initial.
Meanwhile, Cakes from the Boom back in the penalty box on a forearm call. Dame Tamer calling the jam. They will start at a pack disadvantage the next jam. And we are now just 6.5 minutes left in the bout.
Joe Means Joe at the back of the pack, challenging that tripod from Evil. And it's Emski from Living Dead picking up lead. Joe Means Joe with a little backwards hop on that inside apex will get her through for her initial.
Pack is speeding up a little bit into turn 2.
That's one thing we've seen a lot of today is very fast packs. Not a lot of people are slowing down, fighting for that position. They're all just kind of jostling around, speeding up, and it seems to be exhausting people a bit.
I know, and I feel like tomorrow, day 2, we're going to see probably a bit more strategic thinking about that. And maybe it's the floor, maybe it's that just the adrenaline first day of being at a tournament. Like, I know what that can feel like.
That's got to be it, but you sometimes forget to work smarter, not harder.
Yep, and especially when the first day is done and you're going, that was just day 1.
We've got Marauder with the star, finds room on the outside, gets that lead. Roxy Balboa, the powerhouse, not far behind. We had a bit of a split up pack, and Marauder came in. She managed to pick up 1.
It worked well in that instance where Living Dead were just running away with their points, keeping them away from Marauder.
Absolutely. Speed is what you need sometimes, so that's why it's hard to slow those packs down.
And once again, we're seeing the matchup of Dame Tamer and Harley Sin. A very close pack to start, all up, piled up on the jam line there. We'll see how this works out for Living Dead, what their strategy is.
Dame Tamer getting a running start, running into her own pivot, though.
Almost opening up a lane there for Harley Sin. Still working the seams, and it's Harley Sin who's out on the outside.
A last-ditch effort by Schmidt Disturber, but Harley Sin was smart enough to get around those hips, get through. Dame Tamer managing to stay in by her toe stops, gets through for her initial. There's Harley Sin getting knocked to the infield. She's going to call it off. She puts up 3.
And she's very happy with her effort. A great little yes moment at the end of that.
Exactly. Why go back in and fight for all those points that you've already earned when you can just call it off?
And we're going to have a Rip Curl on the line with the star for Living Dead.
And Joe Means Joe, number 1111. Which just looks like a bunch of scratch marks down her back. It looks like claw marks or something.
I like that. I definitely think that was intentional.
It's cute.
And Joe Means Joe providing a bit of defense there. Is it enough? Oh, and then almost providing a bit of offense in that she actually helped bump Rip Curl out in front.
She did, and then she pinballed off of those evo blockers, got herself through for that initial.
And now Joe Means Joe approaching the pack. Definitely did not pick up points for that one. I could just tell there was a little less speed. She knew it was going to be called off.
She did a nice little apex hop there. I feel she should get points for style.
Yeah. Oh boy, that would open a whole other rule book, Sonia. I don't think we need that. But yes, style is always appreciated by the announcers anyway.
Absolutely. Always try to impress us. That's what you're here to do. You're not here to win games.
Sometimes we help with MVPs, but not this go-round, so it really would just make us smile.
So Marauder finding room on that inside, getting through, but Emsky is not far behind, so Marauder is going to call it off.
Yep. They've got a strong lead. It's not worth risking it. Not worth sometimes fighting for that extra energy when you don't need it.
Absolutely. When there's a jammer race going on, it's better to just call it off and start fresh.
And of course, it's not necessarily the derby that you always want to watch, the point saving, if you will, or the differential saving type of derby, but it is a smart way to play, and we have seen it work out for actually for Oil City, where a lot of the Living Dead skaters were playing on earlier today.
Dame Tamer showing off her talent, getting that lead status.
And she is a fast skater, but the pack is also moving so quickly. And it worked out well yet again, being able to split it apart. Dame Tamer able to pick up one more point.
Yep, she got bumped out, was straddling the line as she passed the last two blockers, so she only picked up one, but 1-0 is better than 0-0.
And that's what I love about derby too. Sometimes when you mention that it's 4 points per pass, people sometimes look at you like, okay, well, how does that add up? And you're like, come watch a game, you'll see. It's pretty quick how that can add up.
Absolutely. Joe Means Joe on the jam line, but Rip Curl finds room in lane number 3, gets through for lead.
And that was quite a fall backwards there by Argentina on NFRD. And Roxy Balboa is sent to the penalty box. Didn't see the call there.
And NFRD Pivot reporting to the box as well. That's number 42, Monstrosity. Both these jammers neck and neck, putting up 4 points.
And it looks like Joe Means Joe is just going to casually skate along, because Rip Curl will likely be forced. Oh, not necessarily. I was going to say likely be forced to call it off, but totally able to scoop up 3 points there.
Yeah, Joe Means Joe running into the back of her own blocker. Unfortunately, she will not pick up any points. Or sorry, she picked up 4.
Yeah, and we're already at the half, Sonia Blade. Incredible. And only a 36-point difference. That really isn't much. We have a whole half, except we're not going to leave just yet because there is an official review called. So we're going to stick around for this to find out before intermission starts, because the intermission has not officially started now that there's an official review in place. We'll have alt-ref Landon Flats give us the details on that in just a moment. Currently, right now, I'm not sure if this official review will affect points. Probably not, but right now, the point difference is a 36. Boom with a lead at 76. Living Dead at 40. So we will see where this is going. You know, in the last game, something of interest is, and you see this very rarely, but there ended up being no team timeouts and no official reviews taken.
That was a very quick game. It was very efficient, and I was very thankful for that.
I mean, it's weird because you don't think like roller derby, efficiency. You just think roller derby and awesomeness and whatever else. So, okay, we'll see what the decision is here in just a moment.
But I left all the smiles in the last game. Like, both teams looked like they were having so much fun.
Now we can hear our in-house announcers being loud on that in-house mic. Swiss Army Roy, Fatboy Schwartz. And we might as well give a shout out as well to Girls on Track. How would your life look if you played roller derby as a young girl? Help provide a positive culture of participation, fun, and empowerment for girls by supporting Girls on Track. girlsontrackfoundation.org. And the halftime has been called. Intermission has started. So we're going to keep moving here. And we'll come back with the information on that official review after this break. Welcome back to Flat Track Fever 2019, a WFTDA tournament. I'm Deathnella.
And I am Sonia Blade. Back in black is Living Dead in the black uniforms. Boom in the white with 76 points.
And we do have an update, actually, speaking of Living Dead. Their captain, Lurch, unfortunately, in the last half, there was a bit of a spill, and she went down, and so they've decided to remove her from play for the second half. And because she was captain, that has now moved the C over to Attica Flinch.
That is a huge loss to the Living Dead. That is not what they need right now, not with the score differential being 36 points.
I can see why that move was made. We did mention that a number of Living Dead skaters are also skating with the Oil City Roller Derby near-death oddities, and that's where she's also skating on that team. So tomorrow will be 2 bouts for Lurch if she's feeling up to it. We'll have to see how that plays out. It's been unfortunate. We have seen a couple injuries today already, Tanya, and starting in our very first bout, where Stabitha from SRDL unfortunately took a spill early on too. So we're gonna have updates on all of that for you in day 2. There was an official review at the end of the last half. It doesn't appear, though, that there was any. It doesn't appear that there was anything from that official review, though.
No.
Being as the penalty box situation is exactly how we left it.
And both teams still have their official review on the scoreboard. And with that, that's Dame Tamer getting through, getting that lead. Harley sitting at the back of the pack, getting knocked to the infield by Schmidt Disturber, but Schmidt Disturber getting knocked out by Roxy Balboa.
And the hard-hitting action in turn 1 there. Seeing some flailing hands from Dame Tamer there. 4 points.
Big smile on her face. She's having fun, giving the other jammer a little high five before calling it off. 4 points picked up, bringing the score 80-40.
It's been a phenomenal first day. We are live from the Acadia Recreation Complex in beautiful Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Hosted, of course, this tournament is hosted by Calgary Roller Derby and Chinook City Roller Derby. The first time they have partnered, and the first time that this 8-year event has been WFTDA recognized, and that takes a lot of work and an incredible effort, so a big thank you to all of the organizers.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to watch Flat Track Fever evolve over the years, from the Olympic Oval to Flat Track Fever at Acadia Rec Center, and just the different vibes they've had, and it's been great to watch.
And a really great meeting of Western Canadian teams, because it's not easy to get all of these teams together in one place, so to have 3 days of Derby to make it worth it. And then this year, we have the added benefit of welcoming our sisters from Kona, Hawaii, out here, the Echo City Knockouts, who just skated today as well, and I don't think they realize how wonderfully tan they are, but it's wonderful.
That's right. Flat Track Fever went international this year with a U.S. competitor.
And there is a Canadian connection there in Unicorn Thunder, but back to this wonderful game.
That's Marauder getting through, picking up that lead status for Boom. Emsky at the top of the pack. She's got one left to beat. Dips her hips around backwards and gets through for her initial.
Emsky putting on the speed, but Marauder is just a little faster, a little quicker. Also incredibly comfortable in lead situations. Marauder has found herself in a vast majority of leads in the first half.
Absolutely. Boom have been just dominating this game with leads. Evil have had a couple sprinkled in there, but it's been mostly nuclear free.
And there are about 5 skaters on Living Dead who have already skated today. That can and cannot sometimes play a factor in that. Sometimes having the familiarity of the track and getting that one bout under your belt can be really helpful.
Absolutely. And there's Dame Tamer getting knocked to the outside by Roxy Balboa. Bridge back all the way to turn number 4.
Oh, and then a big hit by Roxy once more.
Taking a spill, losing her feet out from under her, but she's still got a smile on her face. She's still loving what she does.
Dame Tamer is an incredibly tough skater. And I know that you could almost say that about every roller derby skater, but there's just a certain toughness about Dame that's, I don't know, just that little extra edge. And I say that as someone who has skated against her and skated with her as well.
Absolutely. There's a reason why she's in the main jammer rotation. And with that, jam is called off. 4 points going to Evil.
Chipping away, chipping away. Meanwhile, the Boom have 2 blockers in the penalty box. Wait a minute. Is that 3 blockers in the penalty box? For Boom?
No, that's not the penalty box. That's their bench.
That was interesting. So what happened there is that there are technically 3 skaters on Boom who are supposed to be in the penalty box, but of course you can't have 3 blockers sitting in the penalty box at once. So then they were told to return to track, but the jam was about to start.
Yeah, that means as soon as one of those blockers stands, she'll have to report into the penalty box, leaving one blocker on her own for just a few seconds while she waits the return of her teammates.
And that's the thing with this sport is you might miss that moment in the game, which obviously I feel like I did in the last jam, where all of that action happened to cause that penalty. A bit of confusion. I mean, this is why our officials are so fantastic. They take the time, make sure they have it right, make sure it's correct. And it appears that the penalty box situation has been handled, and it is 2 blockers in the penalty box for nfrd Boom.
Yeah, we had a blocker swap out. One of the blockers originally lined up on the track reported to the penalty box. So that'll give us a pack advantage to Evil for the start of this jam. Harleyson on that outside, challenging right up the middle, hoping to get around. She's got one left to beat at the top.
Meanwhile, we have Rip Curl. The Living Dead pivot is out. There is a Living Dead blocker in there too, though, number 4-1. Can't seem to find 4-1. Or is it? It is 4-1 on the armband, but maybe we have our numbers incorrect here. Either way, a blocker apiece in the penalty box. Actually, Boom it with 2 still in the penalty box.
So Boom are going to send out Marauder with the star, facing off against Roxy Balboa. This will be a strong matchup. I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, a strong matchup with a pretty weakened pack. So it looks like Marauda's going to try to provide some defense. Works there. But that is that is a cut track on that blocker. When she came in, bit of an illegal re-entry there.
And Marauder playing the blocker role for as long as she could, but Roxy Balboa found room to get out of that pack, pick up that lead status.
Seen it a couple times this game with that illegal re-entry. It's almost as though blockers forget that even though the pack is right in front of them, they can't simply just hop on the track at that point.
Absolutely. Sometimes you're so excited to come back off of your penalty that you forget how to do it legally.
Oh, I say this knowing full well I've done exactly that and then gone, oh yeah.
And then you feel even worse for getting that second penalty, and you're like, okay, this time I'm really not going to screw up. And I mean it.
I think our NSOs as well are just having that kind of night where it's like, okay, what now? We're going back and forth, but they have got it under control. Let's take a quick peek at the penalties. I know our penalty overlay is a little bit wonky at the moment, but it does allow us to track the number. It looks like Living Dead are in good shape. We're not seeing more than, well, Magic Wanda has 3, but all 3 multiplayers as well, but otherwise looking really good for the penalties there. But now let's take a peek at the Boom, and Cakes is sitting at 4 penalties already, which is huge and can be quite a difference maker. Everyone else seems to be okay. Rude Barbie with 3 penalties there. Looks like they've figured out what is going on. It was a team timeout, actually. And probably a good time. Let's stop that penalty spiral, the Boom is saying.
Absolutely. A small pack is not what Boom needs right now.
Dame Tamer and Emsky waiting for that whistle to go. That felt like a really long time.
That felt like the longest 5 seconds. Well, that's Emsky getting through, quickly picking up that lead status, but Dame Tamer plowing right into Rip Curl, gets through for her initial.
But Harley Sin is sent to the penalty box. And boy, Boom, just trading blockers out of this penalty box one by one. There's still 3 out there, so there's only the pivot as an additional blocker out there. So Dame Tamer providing some defense, actually managing to catch Emsky there. And we're finally seeing a bit of but Dame Tamer decides to do the no-earn pass there. Smart move to get by, still picks up 3 points.
Absolutely. With that, Emsky getting through, putting up another 4 points on the board and calling it off.
Big, big jam for the Living Dead, 12 points.
That's exactly what they need to bridge that point gap right now with 22 minutes left in this game.
Well, and honestly, if the Boom keeps spiraling, this is not going to go well. If they keep putting butts in those penalty box seats, that lead will very easily chip away. But there is an official review happening for called by the Boom. And we'll see. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the details on this official review. And let's take this moment once again. Girls on Track Roller Derby helps girls under 18 develop confidence, leadership, and organizational skills. Help girls keep playing this amazing sport by providing access to roller derby. Support Girls on Track Foundation today.
No one else can say they've been advancing roller skating for 70 years. Rydell Skates. You'll love how your Rydells feel. That's rydellskates.com.
So we may have jinxed it because we talked about how there were no stoppages in the last game. Seems like they were saved for this one, but it's really important, of course, official reviews get the time taken. I do see Landon Flats walking towards this table to give us the details.
White team was requesting a back block on the black jammer, previous jam, and then no call will stand.
So we just got the information from Landon Flats. The Boom was seeking a back block call on the Living Dead jammer, but the no call will stand and play resumes just as usual.
So back at the action, we've got Joe Means Joe on the jam line up against Spitney. Evil doing some last minute adjustments before that jam whistle goes. Joe Means Joe feeding Spitney into that tripod, but Spitney is using those laterals, hopping around, and gets through on the inside.
Oh, that was a great effort by Spitney. I just got to feel good about that. She was having a bit of difficulty, especially in the first half, getting lead in a commanding way, and that was really taking control of the game. And wow, boom, sitting down Joe Means Joe in the penalty box right now. This is huge for the Living Dead.
Absolutely. Making those halftime adjustments is exactly what Spitney and the Living Dead could use right now to take charge of this game.
And we have another multiplayer called on number 3-3. That's Argentina. The Boom are just getting into that penalty trouble. Living Dead chipping away.
Spitney coming up against Rude Barbie at the top of the pack.
Joe Means Joe has been released from the penalty box.
Spitney still has the lead. Looking for instructions from her bench. She's going to run it, but Joe Means Joe running around that inside or that outside line gets through for initial, and Rude Barbie will report to the penalty box, giving the pack advantage to Evil.
Okay, that line of smoke show, push, push, pass, Roxy Balboa, and I'm missing the other blocker right this second, but wow, wow, wow for the Living Dead. Holding their own, a 12-point gem at the right time. There's still so much more derby left to play. And now look at that lead. We are, where are we, 13 points difference? Incredible. Apparently I can pull out mental math when I want to because I can never do this in any other situation.
Yeah, one jam could change everything. So with that, Nuclear Free sends out Marauder. She's at the back of the pack.
And the Boom getting into multiplayer trouble again.
Harley Sin at the top of the pack, getting some offense from Rip Curl. That'll get her initial pass, and that'll lead status.
I'm not sure that the Boom have had their blockers at full strength in the last, I would say honestly, 5 jams, the way things have been going.
Nope, that penalty trouble definitely showing in their gameplay. Harley Sin putting up another 4 points for Evil.
And we have a power jam situation. Must have missed the call there, but Marauder sitting herself down, taking the star off her helmet in the box.
Rude Barbie with that last hit on Harley Sin will knock her to the outside, and Rude Barbie's going to bridge her all the way back to the other straightaway. Harley Sin with some excellent track awareness there. She's not falling for Rude Barbie's trick. She's going to get through. She's got all 4 points. That's all she needs.
Although that really did take some help from Coach Clumsy Lover to say, yeah, you're good. And I know the feeling as a jammer. You get a little scared. You go, are you sure? Are you sure? What a jam for the Living Dead.
That'll bring us to within 4 points. Living Dead sitting at 83 to Boom's 87.
And now we're going to have Dame Tamer and Roxy Balboa on the lines there. And this is going to be a very important matchup here because if Living Dead is able to overtake at this point with still 19 minutes left in the game, they're on a very upward trajectory.
So we've got Dame Tamer at the front of the pack, emerging victorious. She's your lead jammer. Little display of her athleticism as she comes back in.
Rip Curl for Living Dead is out of the penalty box, now keeping Dame Tamer at bay. And now, and now it is the Living Dead getting into penalty trouble. We had a multiplayer called and then an insubordination, which I want to get to, Sonya Blade, because that was definitely not the first time I've seen that in this bout and in this tournament. Skaters deciding, I don't need to exit the track to get to the penalty box. I have seen that. It's astounding because I know all these skaters and I know that they know you need to exit the track right away to get the penalty box. But that's the first time I've seen the in-sub call on it.
Absolutely. Sometimes you hear that penalty and you're like, oh no, I have a minute. But if you acknowledge it, you have to respond to it.
And we have Living Dead with lead. which is huge, but Joe means Joe, putting on the speed.
You can see it as they come around the corners, how slippery the track is. They're losing their balance just that tiny little bit. And Joe means Joe running into the back of her own blocker, but looks like everybody's okay. Joe means Joe putting up 3 points.
And the thing with Derby is if you're inflicting it on your own team, it's not a penalty. But if that had been into a living dead blocker, I could imagine it might have been called as a back block.
Absolutely. There's nothing worse as a blocker getting in your own jammer's way or your jammer running into your own blockers.
Just a whole lot of hurt and nothing to show for it. But in that case, Joe means Joe picking up 2 points. Extending that lead just a little bit further. Living Dead have not quite made it up just yet.
Rip Curl with the star for Evil, getting knocked out by Rude Barbie. Bridge back behind that jam line, but it's Marauder who is your lead jammer.
So now if the Boom get on this train and are able to stay out of the penalty box, they are going to be able to make that difference up again.
And Marauder hitting it and quitting it, putting up 4 for Nuclear Free.
Marauder also just doesn't seem to tire, which is, at least doesn't show it. And that's the thing, it's like all of these skaters are athletes. We know this. We know that they are conditioned. But sometimes, and I've been there too, it's just hard to hide it on your face.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just can't control that look on your face, especially when you're concentrating on so many other things during the game. That's why you get so many terrible derby photos that the photographers must delete, because it's just unflattering.
The pain faces. But it's so great that we also see that, because we can't always look perfectly posed in photos. Announcers can, but...
Yeah, it's the real side of derby, some of those photos. I feel like we could make a book out of, like, discarded photos that photographers are just like, no.
Yeah, we have to remember they put up the nice ones.
Exactly. They whittle it down from like 400 and some photos sometimes to 150, maybe 100. And yeah, so
and
those outtakes, some of them are gold.
We're so lucky that, especially in the local level, that we have photographers passionate enough to volunteer their time and their services and their skills to have these photos of us, and it's a really big, important part of sharing roller derby with the world.
So we've got Joe Means Joe on the jam line up against Harleyson. Joe Means Joe trying to jump that that straightaway, but she's knocked out by number 64. Harleyson at the top of the pack, finding room on that inside, gets out, but Joe Means Joe putting on some pressure. We've got a jammer race underway. Oh, jammer on jammer, getting hit out, but Harleyson has the advantage to call it off. But Joe Means Joe is gonna stomp away anyway. She is not happy with how that went.
Yeah, she wanted some more time. She wanted some more time on the track. But Living Dead didn't want to play that game.
You know what she wanted to do? She wanted them to eat the baby.
Yes.
And the crowd would have gone wild,
yeah.
But she lost that chance.
So smart, though, on Harley-Finn's part to go, no, I'm not going to do that.
Absolutely. Don't play that game of going around the outside, because you'll lose every time. So Rip Curl with the star for Evil, facing the inside, gets that lead.
I was able to get a really great view of that. Beautiful work on the inside. Still had to do a bit of a little jump there on the apex to get by, but fast work by Rip Curl.
And we've got Repeat with the star for Nuclear Free. I think this is the first time she's been on the jam line. She gets her initial pass with a star sash, but Rip Curl, after putting up points, sees the threat and calls it off.
We're now a quarter left in this game, and things are heating up even more. I do need to give a shout out though to number 2-2 on Boom. That's Schmidt Disturber. We've talked about her already, but we're not even giving her enough love in terms of what she's doing to get in the way of those jammers. I've never seen her skate before, and to just see her track awareness and knowing her place and how to stop those paths, very impressive.
I want to say Schmidt-Disturber's been around since roller derby was around in Alberta.
Yeah, I personally haven't had a chance to see her skate, so this is a real treat.
Yeah, it definitely shows her experience out on the track today. So Harley Sin with the lead, coming back into action.
And so now we're seeing Living Dead getting into that penalty trouble. Number 89 Emski now at the penalty box. That is the pivot. But Harley Sin with lead, able to capitalize, picks up 4 points there.
And Marauder almost out of the pack, but she feels like she got a cut track, so she recycled herself to play it safe, and she's going to pass that star to number 4, 3, 2, 1, Malady.
Yeah, and look at that push pass now, teaming up with
Malady taking a tough hit to that outside. Oh, and
just
Marauder.
Getting bumped around. Yeah, that's Killer Koala out there on the Living Dead line, also making things so hard. Along with Attica Flinch.
And push pass is not letting Malady past her, knocking her to the outside again.
Gosh, we're at a tied game right now. This is insane. This pass will bring Living Dead into the lead for the first time this half.
It's Malady opting to do a bit of blocking.
And it just looks like Be Ruthless is having a tough go there. Oh, no, that's not Be Ruthless. That's Malady, as you mentioned. And wow. Living Dead has now not only passed the century mark, they are in the lead. 102 to 98.
We've definitely saved the best for last on this first day of Flat Track Fever.
That is a testament to the patience of the skaters, the patience of the coaches, and that will definitely be a timeout for Boom. They really need to reassess what's going on. I mean, here we were talking at the half about the fact that Living Dead lost Lurch, and that can really shake up a team. Not only because, A, you're down a really formidable blocker, but you're also down your captain, and all of a sudden you're climbing out of a deficit one skater short.
Absolutely. We had a 40-point deficit at one point, and Living Dead just chipped away, and did what they needed to do to get in that lead. And here we are with 12 minutes left in the game.
And while it's honestly 98%, of course, always the Living Dead who's pushing, Boom got themselves in that 2% there of penalty trouble, and that spiral definitely contributed to this lead change. An incredible effort so far. And how cool is it that we now still get to play out just over 11 minutes of derby, which means things can change multiple times again.
I feel things are going to get pretty intense towards the end of this game.
The Boom, this is on their mental capacity now. We have Joe Means Joe. Uh-oh, what's going on?
A little bit of blocker confusion. Not sure if we have a pivot. Do we need a pivot? It's always good to send out a pivot, though.
Oh, Joe Means Joe actually opening a lane there for Rip Curl on the outside.
Yeah, Rip Curl first out of the pack, but Joe Means Joe about a quarter track behind her. This pack is picking up speed coming around turn number 3. Rip Curl is first to make contact, gets knocked to the outside by Schmidt-Disturber, and puts up 3 points before calling it off.
And 2 points for Boom. So only a 5-point difference so far in the total score. This is exciting. Both teams now at the century mark. I just love close games. I've said this before. It gives me a thrill I can't describe. I don't always like playing in them unless I'm the underdog, but yeah, it really is something magical when you get to see how close these teams are. And
close-
push back. Yeah.
Close games always gets me so stressed out because like every little move is so critical and it's just like there's so much pressure and you're watching these girls and just like, no, don't do that, but I can't tell you not to do that.
Exactly. And the nice thing about us being on stream, they cannot hear a single thing we're saying until they watch us back.
Exactly.
And
Dame
we
Tamer
saw-
getting knocked a little forward there by number 21. Harley Sin gets her through for 4 points. That'll bring us to within 1 point.
So now Living Dead has to be mindful of those penalties. Push, pass, getting a multiplayer in the last jam. And after this jam, we'll take a quick peek at how the penalties are stacking up. But that's going to be huge because now they're going to be down or at a pack disadvantage when you don't want to be. This is the time you got to be locking in those leads.
So Rip Curl immediately engaging that tripod of NFRD boom blockers.
Marauder, though, just getting past Roxy Balboa and able to get, wow, but look at Rip Curl, so fast. And that's how you do it in terms of shutting it down.
And Marauder is going to take some time off that clock and call off the jam.
Just a quick look at the penalty board. Rude Barbie for Boom is in a bit of trouble, is at her 5th penalty. Cakes at 4 still. Let's take a sneak peek at the other team here. And it's Magic Wanda still in a bit of trouble there with 5. Everyone else looking okay for now, so.
We've got Joe Means Joe with the star trying that inside line. A beautiful pirouette move will get her lead jam.
But just like that, Harley sent out. We're seeing just a renewed energy with Living Dead this second half. They've really claimed this as their own no matter what.
Absolutely. We're always seeing the jammers challenging each other. One gets out and the other one is not far behind them, maybe a half track.
So now another lead change. Boom in front by 1. 106-105. I think this is what's keeping everybody in their seats, and the beer gardens are so excited.
So Rip Curl trying her way up the middle. She's at the top of the pack, gets through, but oh, she's got a cut track penalty, not what Living Dead wants right now.
That is tough. Rip Curl is already chastising herself, though, for that. That is a tough break. But now is the time for the Living Dead with 3 heavy-hitting, great blockers out there. They could slow Dame Tamer down in her tracks.
Absolutely. Evil was great at killing the last penalty, and let's see if they can do that again. They've been doing a great job so far, recycling in front of Dame Tamer.
Beautiful offense provided by Boom.
Beautiful sweep from NFRD will get Dame Tamer through for 4.
But there is a direction call on a Boom blocker, which puts them now at the pack disadvantage. Rip Curl is out on her initial.
Dame Tamer getting knocked to the inside, bridged back by Attica Flinch, and she's decided she's had enough.
And Boom is the one skates out with 4 points. A tough break for Rip Curl, but what a fight coming out of the penalty box with a lot of gusto. Living Dead are going to need to lock in those leads. And we have a timeout called by the Living Dead. Smart move there by Clumsy Lover to call that penalty. Or not penalty, timeout.
So NFRD Boom, they are actually the top-ranked women's B team in Alberta, and they're definitely showing it tonight, trying to defend that title, but Evil is giving them a run for their money.
And this is only their second time competing at Flat Track Fever. Their first was last year, so that's kind of great when you get to make a repeat and see how things go. We don't have the exact stats on how they performed last year, but I can say that they didn't have quite the same bench staff out there helping them, and that always makes such a big difference. So we'll see how this game shapes up. But Sonia, I'm loving it. What are you enjoying so far? What do you think has been effective for both of these teams? Throwing
Honestly,
you on the
both
spot.
these teams, yeah, like they've just been really great at getting their jammers out right away and immediately like giving the other jammer that challenge and that pressure to call it off and keeping these jams low scoring.
I have been thoroughly impressed by the line work that these blockers are putting on display. They are going right to that line, and they're not leaving the space that these jammers can take. Easier said than done, always, always, always. So kudos to all the blockers on both teams. Oh, look at that. Harley Sin actually getting the bump out there on Marauder.
Harley Sin taking advantage of that confusion as a penalty was called. Almost got through into that lead, but Marauder's snuck forward was just quick enough.
But now Harley Sin is hustling, hoping to catch up because a shutout here still keeps them alive. And Marauder saying, no, I'm going for it.
Yeah, Marauder signaling for that offense, hitting it, quitting it, getting one and calling it.
Well, and she had to wait as well. Like, Boom had to wait. They had two blockers in there in the penalty box. You don't want to start with only two out on the floor. It's still very, very possible. There's only 6 points difference. It's two jams. Living Dead 105, nfrd Boom 111.
Speaking of 111, that's 11-11. Joe means Joe feeding Emski into her nuclear-free tripod before challenging Evil at the front.
And it appears that the timeout Boom took a little earlier on has panned out for them. They've been able to take control back of this game at a very pivotal time. Emski moving fast, the pack moving incredibly fast right now. And that was Killa Koala getting caught up in the back of the pack there.
And Joe means Joe getting through, picking up 3 more points, edging out Boom's lead to 9 points.
Oh, we have Clumsy Lover with Living Dead calling for an official review. Wow, so much back and forth, so much stopping. It's actually remarkable that there has been such a momentum swing in either direction, because I personally feel when you have those stops in play, it can create stops in other ways, right? Where you have your momentum, you're going, and now that. We're having a great time here at Day 1 Flat Track Fever. We'd like to say a special thank you to the people who helped make it all possible, and also a WFTDA recognized tournament. Thank you to our hosts, Calgary Roller Derby and Chinook City Roller Derby.
Of course, this is a big year for Flat Track Fever. This is the first time that we've had a WFTDA sanctioned bracket. And this is the first time that Chinook City is co-hosting with Calgary Roller Derby.
And I don't think that can be said enough. When you combine hosting duties, you're adding in more voices, you're adding in more perspectives, and you're just adding in a lot more planning and work. But I can say from the little sliver that I got to see as THA, the team has just been amazing. They care, they love this tournament, this event so much, and it just shows. It has been so smooth today.
This morning it was like a bunch of little worker bees just running around making sure everything was ready on time for that 9 o'clock start. And it was great.
Oh, and every game has started on time, which is amazing.
That's rare for a tournament.
Black team was requesting 1 point removed from White's last scoring trip, but the score will stand.
All right, we are learning that Living Dead were requesting to have 1 point removed from the Boom's last scoring pass, but after the official review, the refs have decided that score will stand. It is 3 points to the Boom on that last scoring pass.
So after yet another break, we've got Dame Tamer with a star up against Rip Curl for Evil. Rip Curl trying that outside, trying that inside, finding room on the in with a little hop over that apex.
So Living Dead got lead as they wanted, but Dame Tamer's right on Rip Curl. I don't know if this is going to work out the right way, and perhaps calling it in advance might be the best. Living Dead is in the back of the pack too. That's not advantageous because Dame Tamer is going to pull it out.
And that jam will be dead even, 3 points apiece.
Wow, wow, wow. That is a tough decision to make because Living Dead hadn't had control of the game for a while there. But every time you extend your jam, you're cutting into the possibility of another jam that could give you those points. Just 9 points different in this game. 3 minutes and 45 seconds left.
Roxy Balboa finds room on that outside, runs up, picks up lead for Evil.
And this is what they need. Roxy well out in front, a half lap ahead of Marauder. This is where it can begin. She's gonna have to call it though. Yeah, to stop any other points from coming in. And don't think that's a full handful. No, it won't be. It'll only be 1 point for Roxy Balboa.
But 1 is all you need to chip away at that lead. We've still got just over 3 minutes left in this game. Evil sending out Harley Sin with a star up against Joe Means Joe.
Harley Sin is positioned right into that tripod, which is going to open the inside for Joe Means Joe.
Joe Means Joe running up the inside, but is met by Evil blockers. Getting a push forward by Rip Curl will get her through for that lead.
Oh, Harley Sin is now out, but a half lap behind. This might be just enough space that the boom can keep it running, which is what they want to do.
Exactly. Keep that clock running, keep that pack moving fast, and keep control of that lead.
Harley Sin has to keep going. She can catch up, get Argentina's point right there.
And Joe Means Joe ducking around the hips of Rip Curl gets her through for another 3 points.
It is a tight, tight, tight game. Roxy Balboa coming out again up against Dame Tamer. Roxy had so much speed in her last jam out there. It was really awesome to see. I love skaters who know what their mission is, and there was that intensity in her eyes.
Absolutely. She knows she has one job out there, and that is go fast.
Interesting positioning of the boom blockers. Not sure how they're trying to cut there, but Roxy Balboa getting a bit of help from Spitney, but not fast enough. Dame Tamer out with lead, well out in front now as Roxy gets recycled to the back.
So Dame Tamer coming back in. Evil setting up at the back. Dame Tamer opting not to take that outside line as she doesn't want to get knocked out and bridge back. Not in that turn number 1.
And the star is off of Roxy's head. She's calling for Emski. Emski with the star pass. Now just has to get by 1 boom blocker, and boom, she's through on her initial. She's got to hustle fast, coaches are saying. And oh my goodness, we are going to get 1 more jam.
1 more jam, and there's still a chance to change everything. 109 for the Living Dead, 124 for Boom.
And this is a must-get lead situation for Harley Sin. It is very much still possible. That's not an insurmountable lead. Living Dead are still in this.
He who gets lead decides. Or she. So we've got Marauder with the star for Boom. Harley Sin, both these jammers stuck equally at the back of the pack. Harley Sin getting knocked to the outside by Rude Barbie. Marauder
Harley
at the
Sin
top of the
showing
pack.
a bit of slowness there, and in that Marauder has lead, and she calls it. Oh, What a ride that bout was. Up and down and all the way around. Living Dead clawing out of a 40-point deficit, coming back, getting the lead change, only to have it snatched away. Sonia, thoughts, feelings?
Just an absolute roller coaster of emotions on the last game of the first day here.
This is what Flat Track Fever is all about. These amazing skaters showing us how it's done, and patience, lead, all of that. The strategy that we just saw even in the last 5 minutes of this bout it's so worth rewatching, and wow.
And if you liked this game, be sure to tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. where Nuclear Free Boom, who you just watched today, are going to take on the Jane Deers, who beat the Gas City Regulators this afternoon.
So 2 winning teams get to face off. That's very exciting. The final score, Living Dead 109, the NFRD Boom 124. It has been a spectacular first day of Flat Track Fever 2019, a WFTDA recognized tournament. I'm Death Nella.
And I am Sonia Blade.
And we will see you all right back here tomorrow.